be calling you a radical and trying out my new camera. Back to Fukushima. First off, I want to talk about the death of Aaron Swartz. I've been thinking a lot about it. I was in Manhattan a year ago, this time of year, and I remember I was really sick. One of my goals in the hospital was to get back to Manhattan. I was visiting my daughter. I remember being in Williamsburg, and we were over in Lower Manhattan, and I had this incredible vibe. One of the only times I really broke down through this cancer fight. My daughter working there in Lower Manhattan in the village. I was standing right there. I remember how emotional I got. I just completely broke down. She was like, wow. My dad and Aaron Swartz died the same day. I mean, he even kind of looked like him. I mean, January 11th. I got thinking about, they were both killed by tiny, tiny scared men. Dick Cheney around, tiny, tiny afraid men. America, home of the cowards. You tiny afraid men want to put a little 83-year-old man in prison. You afraid fucking men. Wow. Fukushima, Amy finally went over there. I know her. You know, through some people via my daughter in Manhattan, but I take back half of what I said about her. I don't know if you've seen this report she did. You can see they put it together quickly. The protest in front of the Prime Minister's house. And her people interviewed a woman. And that woman told it the way it is. She told the way nuclear is. She began to cry in the video. And I had that same vibe I had in Manhattan that day. And I mean, I broke down. It got me. Remember this, in the early days of Fukushima, as I was reporting, I would get hundreds of emails out of Japan a day. Hundreds. I had very tight relationships with a lot of people in Japan. Kathy Iwan could verify all this. As she came home, she was in Japan, and one of the key, her testimony was very pivotal, very key. Her story about the truth of Fukushima on the San Onofre shutdown, as her and I were both heavily involved in that. That picture that I put up of her was the first time I met her at the Song's hearing, but we knew each other, because I knew so many people inside Japan. September of 2012, 26, I got word from them. They say, hey, we're going to shut us down. And one of the professors that I was talking back and forth with had been locked up. And I'm like, no. Yeah, and all of a sudden, I went from literally hundreds of emails out of Japan a day to zero. I listened to there were hearings, there were prosecution, people were going to go to jail. Until the Americans stepped in. I pledge allegiance to the United States, of General Electric, of nuclearism, of Toshiba, of Westinghouse. Oh yeah, there was prosecution going on. I listened to the hearings. I had Mikado translate. I listened all day and caught one line when they come and says, yeah, we started dumping into the Pacific on April 3rd, 2011, which is ironic. That's the date. You go back to that video, a famous video of mine where I go psycho about their dumping plutonium in the oceans. That day. And talk about divine intervention through this whole thing. Wow. Why have they not locked up Amy over there? I don't know, it's just a rumor, but the rumor I hear is Caroline Kennedy's got her back. Remember this, when Bobby Kennedy Jr. was on the stage with Stone, the Pandora's Promise creep, Michael Moore's buddy. I'm done with Michael Moore, I can tell you that right now. He burned that bridge. He thought that Bobby Kennedy was going to be his ally. Bobby Kennedy stood up like his father stood up. He says, fuck no. He let them have it. Caroline, the 50th anniversary of those iconic photographs of her tragic father's death. By the way, you remember the 1963 open-air treaty ban speech of his, nationwide, talking about leukemia, talking about things, via his wife. What a powerhouse right before his death. She was there in Fukushima exactly 50 years from those iconic photographs at his funeral. To the moment. Wow. My post-ignorance radio show, my gig as it goes forward, no celebrities are going to get in. None. Bobby Kennedy Jr. He's the only one. He's the only one that I've seen through this whole thing that has actually stood up to these monsters. The only one. It's pretty sad. But I want you to watch that. Every one of you, you need to watch that. Talk about from the soul. As I've tried to be intimate through this thing, this is a new genre. YouTube's a new genre. I was sick of us losing and being called soft tree huggers and getting our ass kicked. You know, so I changed tactics. You know, as Pollock said, the strangest will wear off. You know, I've added to that saying the strangest will wear off, but the radiation won't. I want you to watch that. It's like me, from the soul, from the heart. I mean, I'm so violated. What they did to the young Hammond boy. That's so vile. 10 years in prison, he didn't do shit. When Dick Cheney loots a cut 2.3 trillion missing. He's fucking murdered millions of people. Cole Powell stands in front of the UN and lights his fucking ass off. Weapons of mass destruction when Valley Plain Wilson's husband's telling him, no, we proved all this fucking corruption. It's not even fucking arguable. It's malice. It's fucking the greatest crimes against humanity in history. They walk. They're made gods, giving more money. Rumsfeld will go 60 minutes crying about his son who committed suicide when he mass murdered fucking millions of people's fucking sons. And they put Hammond, afraid, tiny, tiny men. Just like fucking the Gene McCarthy thesis that fucking nuked their own men in the fucking desert. And we're starting to find out more and more people coming to me all the time say, hey, my dad was there too. You know, and I had all this physical. We know that it wasn't just they killed them, they fucked up their children physically. Her talk in front of the Prime Minister's house, that was live. I mean, they put that up immediately. That was that day. I mean, that's just 2 days ago. Wow. If that doesn't make you emotional and understand what I'm doing here, and understand what fucking nuclearism is, you don't have a soul. And fuck all you tiny, tiny cowards. I'm not afraid of you. Fuck you. Stay in tune.